There is a conversation happening in bedrooms all over the world that almost no one says out loud. A woman lies next to someone she loves, someone she chose, someone she would choose again, and she feels nothing. No pull, no want, just the quiet weight of wondering what happened to the person she used to be. She hasn't fallen out of love, she isn't broken, she isn't cold. But nobody ever told her the truth about how female desire actually works. And that silence has cost millions of women their confidence, their relationships, and their sense of self. This is that truth.
Before we can understand what's happening inside a woman's body in a long-term relationship, we need to understand what we were all taught desire is supposed to look like. The version most of us grew up with goes something like this. You see someone, something ignites, a pull, a hunger, an urgency that arrives without warning, like a switch flipped in the dark. This is what films show, what songs describe, what romantic literature has repeated for centuries. Researchers call this spontaneous desire. It emerges before any physical contact, before any warmth or closeness, purely from a thought, a glance, a memory. And for many people, this is genuinely how desire works. But here is what no one told you. Studies consistently show this pattern is far more common in men than in women. Spontaneous desire is real. It is simply not the primary way the majority of women are wired to experience wanting. When a woman doesn't feel desire this way, when the switch doesn't flip on its own, she is not missing something. She is not broken. She is simply operating on a completely different system, one that science has understood for decades, but culture has refused to teach.
Sex researcher Emily Nagoski spent years studying how women actually experience desire, not how they are supposed to, and what she found changed the conversation entirely. Most women, Nagoski discovered, experience what she calls responsive desire. This means desire does not arrive first. Pleasure arrives first. Connection arrives first. The right context arrives first. And then, in response to those conditions, desire follows. Think of it this way. Spontaneous desire is like being hungry before you smell food. Responsive desire is like not feeling hungry until someone places a warm meal in front of you. And suddenly, you are ravenous. Neither one is better. Neither one is more passionate or more loving. They are simply different pathways to the same destination. The problem is that long-term relationships are almost perfectly designed to eliminate the conditions responsive desire needs to ignite. Familiarity replaces novelty. Routine replaces surprise. Availability replaces longing. And without those conditions, without the context that lights the system, desire quietly goes dark. Not because the love is gone, but because no one ever explained how to keep the light on.
Researcher Marta Miana has spent her career studying exactly why desire fades inside loving relationships. She interviewed married women who deeply loved their partners and had completely lost desire for them. What she found was striking. 3 forces kept appearing in every account. The institutionalization of the relationship, the moment a partnership stops feeling chosen and starts feeling assumed. Overfamiliarity, the point where a partner becomes so known, so constant, so woven into daily life that the erotic charge of their presence disappears. And the desexualization of roles, the slow transformation of lover into roommate, co-parent, financial partner. These women were not describing unhappy marriages. They were describing full ones, warm ones. And yet Miana found something that contradicts everything we are told about female desire. These same women had no difficulty feeling desire for strangers, for unfamiliar people, for novelty. Miana's conclusion was quietly radical. Closeness, she said, is not an accelerator for female desire. For many women, it is the brake. And the brake, once fully pressed, is extraordinarily difficult to release without understanding why it was pushed in the first place.
What Miana observed in her interviews, neuroscience has since confirmed in the lab. The female brain operates a dual system when it comes to desire. Nagoski describes it as an accelerator and a brake. The accelerator responds to everything the brain perceives as sexually relevant: attraction, novelty, emotional safety, anticipation. The brake responds to everything the brain perceives as a reason to stop: stress, exhaustion, resentment, overfamiliarity, the feeling of being unseen. In a long-term relationship, the brake accumulates pressure slowly, so slowly that most women don't notice until it is fully engaged. And here is the piece that makes it even more complex. Chronic stress, the ordinary, relentless stress of modern life, directly suppresses the hormones that make desire physiologically possible. Cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, competes with testosterone and estrogen for the same biological resources. When cortisol rises, sex hormones fall. Research published in 2025 confirmed that women's desire responds more directly and immediately to stress than men's. The body, under sustained pressure, quietly deprioritizes wanting. It is not a personal failing. It is a biological instruction. Survival first, desire second. And in a world that never stops demanding, many women's bodies never receive permission to want.
Here is what the science is really saying, stripped of all complexity. If you have lost desire in a relationship you still love, you are not broken. You are not cold. You are not proof that something is wrong with you or with the person beside you. You are a woman whose desire system was never accurately explained to her, who was handed a map designed for a completely different journey and told to follow it anyway. And when she couldn't, she concluded the fault was hers. It isn't. Responsive desire is not lesser desire. It is not weaker or less passionate or less real. It simply requires different conditions. It requires context. It requires the removal of the things pressing on the brake: stress, invisibility, routine without interruption, closeness without mystery. Esther Perel has spent 30 years watching couples wrestle with this exact tension. Her conclusion is not that desire and long-term love are incompatible. It is that we have forgotten desire needs room to breathe. It needs distance to cross. It needs, occasionally, to feel like wanting, not just having. That distinction is not the end of something. It is the beginning of understanding yourself honestly, perhaps for the very first time.